This is not the apocalypse you were looking for. Pop culture has been inundated with catastrophe porn for decades. None of it has prepared us for our new reality. And they have this picture, I guess it's like a zombie hand coming out of the dirt. But yes, here's what they say. The shock itself is shocking. Shouldn't we have been more prepared? Hasn't culture been drenched in catastrophe porn for decades? The bomb, the breakdown, the fallout, the senseless armies of shambling corpses, all the nightmares of dead generations sliding out of our screens. For more than a decade, young and youngish people have been living in anticipatory grief for everything we know, but somehow this is different. The idea of imminent annihilating catastrophe has been part of the collective unconscious for as long as we've had one. From the end date of the Mayan calendar to the Epic of Gilgamesh, from the Genesis flood to the Book of Revelations, humans have been haunted by the idea of the end of everything for a very, very long time. Lately, it's been our default popular entertainment. Raised with the threat of global warming, in the teeth of a financial crisis, we sat stunned and exhausted watching our civilization die on screen again and again. More post-apocalyptic entertainment has come out in the beginning of this century than in the entirety of the last one. The Day After Tomorrow, Zombieland, The Walking Dead, The Road, Children of Men, The Last of Us. The same story again and again. Somewhere between wish fulfillment and trauma rehearsal, getting us used to the idea that the future was canceled, that someday soon everything would collapse and there would be nothing left and nothing we could do about it. You know, I love this. I love this.
Yeah.
Everybody who is, watching these films and pretending like it would be fun.
Yeah.
And the sad reality was, for now, we're not roaming the streets, fighting over food, questioning the person in the gas station, asking them whose side they're on, or anything like that.
Well, we still got some time. It still feels like we have some semblance of the norm.
I think we're closer than we've ever been.
I agree with you completely.
But for now, it's like it's the waiting I can't stand. Like, either pull the trigger on the collapse of civilization or let us get on with our boring routines.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Nah. I think we are dangerously closer to it than we've ever been. But we mentioned this before, and I think it's interesting that people they glorify and fantasize about this stuff.
Yeah.
They couldn't handle it.
And none of those movies are like the after side of it. It's like it's always right when it's happening. Like, oh man, we got to escape this volcano or escape this tsunami wave or
right.
Travel south, and it's like during the everything hitting the fan. But then it's like, okay, then what? Then what do? You don't have seeds, you don't have food, you got to find water somewhere, but it's like none of these movies are showing that part, like the real gritty part of life that is like people starving to death. Yeah. Because it's not exciting.
Eating each other.
Yeah, eating each other.
Dude,
straight up.
You don't understand how many people are on this planet.
There's a lot.
New York's scary. You know what the good thing about this going kind of slow is? People getting out of New York.
That's a good point.
Because if the collapse happened like overnight, people in New York would go full on cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller in like days. No more food, no more water. People will be swimming to get out. There are going to be people who are going to be trapped. They don't know where they can go, and they're going to be desperate. There's going to be fighting.
Yeah.
There's going to be, man, dude, New York is going to be literal hell. Like, people with guns looking for food, and you have a building in New York with 10 or 12 floors and several apartments on each floor, and they're going to be going methodically through each one.
Yep, searching.
You live in the middle of nowhere. You set up a couple auto defense turrets right around the property, and you turn them on. You go to sleep. Everything's good. No, I'm kidding, but. You obviously have much less to worry about when you're surrounded by a lot less people.
Yeah.
I would really love to see how people would respond to a full-on apocalyptic scenario. Like how you could simulate that to see how humans react to it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point because there's so much, the spectrum of humanity ending stuff could be anything from, I don't know, huge crazy solar flare that completely, wrecks us, a massive asteroid, super volcano. I don't know. I'm just rapping off the top of my head.
Here's some advice. A microwave is a Faraday cage, I think.
So jump in the microwave and close it, and you're safe.
Put your phone. Yes. So I actually know a lot of people who do this. I don't know if this is legit, but I know people who have microwaves in their basement, and they have a brand new cell phone in it.
Why?
But why?
And so that when the EMP
hasn't been used yet?
Or with they preload apps and stuff on it.
So when the EMP hits and all the satellites are completely
you will have
destroyed.
the summation of human knowledge in your pocket, and you will be king.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
you-
see.
You
Okay.
can download the manuals.
You can
and
download
stuff.
Wikipedia. It's like
Yeah.
7 gigs.
All right.
You can download survival guides, science, how to make wire, how to start fire, all that stuff.
I did get a survival guide, and I was scrolling through it, and it's amazing the
Think-
amount of stuff that's on it. It's pretty
Think
cool.
about how powerful a calculator is. Just a calculator.
Yeah.
Like that was a premise for, I think there was like a Justice League like series where I can't remember what the guy's name is. Savage sent a laptop, just a laptop, regular old laptop from like 2005 to himself during World War II.
Okay.
And that simple bit of technology was so powerful compared to the rest of the world. They were able to rapidly develop crazy weapons and completely win. And it's, dude, if whatever happens, having a smartphone, yeah, man. So I know, yeah, people will like. I know some people. They have like a little nook in their basement. They'll put a microwave in it. They'll put put stuff around it. And I'm like, that might not be enough. You might
Yeah.
need more than that.
So, what is the advantage of having a phone with this stuff loaded on it when you could have like a survival book?
You could have both. What do you mean?
Well, I mean,
You got
obviously,
the book you just put in a shelf.
your phone the battery will run out before too long.
Get a solar panel.
Oh,
I actually have a little
good strategy.
little backpack unfolding from Goal Zero, just like you throw it out in the sun. You plug in. I have the little battery pack. You plug it in. I can charge my laptop, my phone.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
So,
awesome. It's great.
I don't know if I told this story yet to you guys, but during Occupy Wall Street, someone donated farmland. Did I tell you guys a story?
No, I don't think so.
Somebody donated farmland, and this is like hearsay, so I know there's probably some Occupy people are going to be like, that's not true or whatever, but okay, whatever. Here's what someone told me. Someone donated farmland, and a bunch of Occupy Wall Street people who wanted to get off the grid, they didn't want to be a part of society and capitalism and like destruction of the planet, so they went to move to a farm. And guess how long they lasted?
2 days.
What did you guess?
Also 2 days, one
Yeah,
day.
it was, you got cut them some slack. It was about 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2
wow,
weeks.
that's impressive.
It is impressive.
Well, she took my answer, so
Well, that's what-
I
that
would
was
have
what I
said
was-
I would have said
yeah.
a week
You know why
Yeah,
they didn't?
okay.
You know why they didn't? You know why they didn't last that long?
because they're city dwellers and they're used to not having to work that hard.
Exactly.
yeah.
They're used to not having to work.
Yeah, I know some people with farms, and I've actually
Yup.
done some farm work, and it's like you got to get up early and start working. You don't get
It's-
to like chill, drink your coffee, and like relax,
And then
until
write a
you're
blog.
awake.
You write a blog about Brad Pitt's junk for $50,000 a
Scroll
year.
through your
Gosh, yeah.
Instagram feed. It's like no. You got to get up and do, because like pretty much the rule of thumb on a farm is you finish one chore, 2 more prop up.
Yep.
And it never ends.
Never.
Ever.
But this was about survivability farming. Like the idea was you got off the grid and you were self-sustaining.
Yeah.
And it's like, now do you understand why you like oil so much?
And
Yeah.
And why
capitalism.
you don't want that to go away.
Specialization.
I find it so remarkable that it's mostly people who live in big cities who benefit the most from fossil fuels and machinery and technology who are the ones complaining about it.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's like, yeah, it's real. You know what they say? Like, this is what people on the left say, that from a point of privilege, equality looks like oppression. It's like you have
no idea.
Do you have any idea what would happen if you got your wish with like shutting down fossil fuels, like Greta wanted to do?
Yeah.
You would be like, no electricity, so no elevators.
Right.
Now you've got to walk up those 17 flights of stairs.
Right.
Like we use coal for electricity. It's like more than half of our electricity. Well, I think New York has nuclear power, but they want to shut that down too.
Yeah, they do.
Dude, these people would not make it.
No.
What I was told about the farm thing with Occupy, they ended up leaving,
Okay.
and I was asking somebody who knew they knew the people who were there, and they were like, "Dude, do you have any idea how insane it was?" I'm like, "Oh, I do, of course, I do. Because I'm not an idiot." And these people didn't realize, they thought living on a farm was going to be like sitting in a lounge chair, like chewing on a piece of straw, reading a book, and getting away from all the noise, and life would be so much easier. And guess what it was really like?
Yeah, getting your hands dirty.
Waking up at 6 a.m.
Work nonstop.
and working until midnight,
Yep.
and then going to bed. You get to eat a little bit in between, but when you stop working, you don't have food. And the best part was winter was a coming,
Oh man.
and you got to stock up a bunch of the food, store it for the winter,
Yep.
preserve it properly, and not only that, you're getting a horrible diet throughout the winter.
Yep.
You're not getting the vitamins you need. Your food is imbalanced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they could not take it. Yeah.
That
No,
makes
that's
you-
not surprising at all.
So what do you think these people would do in
Not
a
at
real
all.
apocalypse?
Oh god.
They would starve.
Not would they?
I don't know. You think they're the ones that are going to go rioting?
No. Well, oh yeah, maybe riot. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not going to get very far.
No, they're not.
I mean, there's plenty of people out there that maybe not like our prepper status, but
Are prepared.
yeah, they're prepared in the sense that don't come into my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause they've been like that for a long time.
Meet you
so
at the door.
once people are like starting to riot, they're gonna be like, okay, don't come to my house.
Well,
now I will shoot you. Because
there's two similar jokes. One was a Dilbert comic, Scott Adams, and Dilbert was like, I think he was asking about how the woman is preparing, and she goes, I'm not. I'm just gonna go. I'm preparing. Like, what are you doing? And then she basically said, oh, can you pick up Hot Pockets so that when this all breaks down, I can get them? Like the joke is, someone posted this in the super chat before. They were like, gun owners want to thank all the people who don't own guns for stocking up the supplies for us when the apocalypse happens.
Right.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I here's the thing. What we're seeing right now is it's not the apocalypse, it's a catastrophe. That's what they point out in the article. But I'm curious. We've seen a lot of movies, and the movies try to pretend they know how people would respond to an apocalypse.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think we really do.
And everyone loves to be that person that, I would
Hero.
never
Yes.
do that.
Yeah.
I would have gone left. I would have stayed put. Oh, I would have done anything but whatever, which was just pushing the narrative of the movie along.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, obviously they have to like tweak a little bit.
Here's
I
the
don't
truth,
know.
man. When the apocalypse does come, the most brutal are the ones who survive. Period.
Period.
So here's a little thought experiment I tell people, and it's weird to me that there's like a lot of urban young people don't understand how real life works, and I think it's because they've been insulated. Here's the question I say to people, and I'll ask you guys right now. You're in the middle of the woods, hundreds of miles from civilization. You're lost. You have with you a gun, a rifle with limited rounds. You have a small canteen of water. You have a little bit of food. All of a sudden, off in the distance, at the exact same time, you notice another person and they notice you. They have the exact same things that you have. You don't know where your next meal is going to be. You don't know where you're going. You don't know where civilization is, and you see this person. What do you do?
But the world's over already. It's
No.
just-
Regardless of that, let's
doesn't matter.
out of the equation. You're in the middle of nowhere in the Yukon, lost. You got teleported there. Who knows?
Okay.
And you've got a rifle.
Yeah.
You've got a little bit of food, a little bit of water, and the clothes on your back. You don't know where civilization is. It's cold. You're trying to find food, shelter, whatever. About 100 yards away, you and another person, you both make eye contact at the exact same time. What do you do?
I would probably say hello.
And then they yell back, Florgablop,
Florgablop.
Florgablop, Florgablop.
I don't think you can communicate very well.
How do you know they would speak English?
Well, I would probably have a smile on my face, and I would wave then, and probably because we have 100 yards away, it's pretty far.
Right.
So it's like, I would probably lift my gun up, as in like a non-threatening manner, like holding my hands up with the gun visible but not aimed at them.
As soon as you raise your arm with the gun, they lift their gun up to you shaking. What do you do?
Well, I'd probably duck behind a tree.
Then they see you move, so they start shooting.
Good thing I ducked behind a tree.
Right. So this thought experiment isn't meant to have a correct response.
Okay.
It's to point out that no matter what you do, you can't expect how someone else would respond. And everyone, you know what? Like, this is really funny, because one thing I often hear from conservatives is like they would have their hand properly on their weapon, they'd hold up their hand, and they would move really slowly, and they would back away and leave. I hear from moderate people more stuff like what you were saying, like I would try to make contact. You know what I hear from people on the left? Oh, I'd go and greet them. Now they can help me.
No, I wouldn't trust them immediately, though.
Random.
No.
You don't know.
But see, if I was in an environment like that, you never know if they were friendly, then you're two and not one. So your chances of
Exactly.
survival
Yeah, that's true.
increase. So that's where my first instinct would be, is like I would rather be two than by myself. And if they're friendly, how do you approach them? If they don't speak my language, it's obviously going to be more difficult.
You can't assume they do.
Right. So if I yell hello and they
Florgablob.
like all right,
Florgablob.
yeah. So
The challenge is, if you see this person, you don't know if they're starving,
yeah,
if they're angry, if they're scared. You have no idea what they're feeling. They might see you and see what you're carrying and be like, if I take his stuff, I'll live.
Yeah.
Why should I bother with this person who might hurt me? I don't know them. I don't know what they're saying. And so, I try to explain to people that a lot of people with these utopianist views think this is how the world could work. Everyone holding hands and singing, and there's like a rainbow.
Yeah, that's
and it's
not,
like,
that's
no,
not good.
the reality is you take that scenario I gave you and you scale it up to nation states.
Yeah.
We don't know what the other is doing. We don't want to give up our secrets. We don't know what they're planning. We don't know if they're going to attack us. And everyone needs resources. And so when you look at a lot of how these countries are responding to the controversy or the crisis right now, we don't know what China's internals are. They might, for all we know, there's like some government official who's like, his buttons are all undone. His tie he's drunk and he's just like, this is the end. We're out of resources. Our money is going up. The food supplies have stopped, but don't tell anybody. And so then you have these people saying things like, we need to be cooperating with China. They're a global leader supplying us, and they're ready to press the button.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's where you go with conflict and war and stuff. But also for that scenario too, it's like, man, I think it's a guarantee that if the apocalypse happened, like liberal-minded people would, and I say this because liberals tend to be very passive, like the actual liberals.
I'll say it.
Wiped out.
They would die out.
Wiped
That's
out.
what you're about to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally wiped out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason is though, when I say liberal, I'm talking about people who like are going to vote for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
They're clearly not paying attention. They don't know or care about what's going on, and they're just
They
like,
clearly haven't even heard him speak.
Right.
Exactly.
Now the progressive far leftists.
Yeah.
Many of these people are now actually rather pro 2A.
Yeah.
This has been a big thing to happen because of like with Antifa, there have been a lot of far left people who are like, no, we demand our rights to own weapons. And you see, and there are groups that are considered to be that or aligned, like Black Panthers, for instance, that showed up in Virginia, and all of the liberty-minded people agree like we should have a right to bear arms and that stuff. But the far leftists, I think, will survive. The communists, the authoritarians, because they'll take what they want. They're aggressive.
Yep.
Conservatives who are prepared and calm and like methodical, who are like not all of them, but enough of them, will be prepared and ready. And then liberals, like your average liberal in this country, are going to be sitting on their hands confused about what's happening around them.
Not believing it until someone comes and takes their stuff.
Yeah. Or no, I'll tell you what, like it's going to be in Manhattan and there's going to be like, picture this, a dude with like a beard and like wavy brown hair and thick black frame glasses with a blue button-up shirt tucked into his khakis with a leather belt, sitting in his Manhattan apartment, watching the TV as they say like the government has collapsed. We don't know what this means. So then this door gets kicked in and a bunch of dudes come in and they have their guns out and they're like, where's the food? Where's the food? And he's like, oh, in the cabinet. And he's going to be like, what? What's happening? And they're going to take his food and they're going to leave and then he's going to have no food.
Yep.
Those are the kind of people it's like, yeah.
Yep, it's true.
That's the apocalypse.
Sure.
I know.
Yeah, it's a quick
This is what they
apocalypse.
want.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But I'll go back to that last point and we can jump to the super chats. But like, I think we all, we look at movies to see how people would react. But when you look at movies like The Hunger Games or like, I don't know, Dawn of the Dead or something, we don't take in consideration the political alignment or like the predictable behaviors of certain areas. Like, areas of Utah, for instance, like more Mormon areas will react very, very differently to New York. Very differently.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to bet too, like religious areas will survive very, very well.
Oh yeah.
Immediately because they have a unifying,
They have a unifying force. Yeah. They
right.
have a
There's
factor.
culture.
Yeah.
Whereas people of all different random backgrounds and ideologies will be unified again by what? You're in a city and everyone's running around and you're going to be like, I got to get out of here. Mm-hmm. But if you're in an area with like, a very religious community, you're going to be like, let's go see what everyone's doing because everybody. This is one of the things that's interesting about religion that we've lost as the U.S. has become more secular, is that people used to meet each other at the church and talk about stuff. Because I did this when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. How many people in New York get together with their local community and talk to each other, meet each other? They don't do it at all.
No, they
never.
don't. No, they don't.
That. Yeah.
Luke, the We Are Change dude, has this video from a long time ago where he went on the train and he was like, all of these people, millions of people every day on the train never talk to each other at all.
Yeah, it's dead silent.
Yeah.
Everyone's on their phone, listening to music.
So look,
Yeah, it's true.
I'm not saying like, I'm personally not religious. I'm not, I don't read the Bible or anything like that. But I think fact-based, you have people in New York who have no ties to any community. They don't know who lives below them. Like when I lived in Brooklyn, I had no idea who my downstairs neighbor was.
Same here.
Heard him playing music, never talked to him.
Almost
Yeah.
all of my apartments, I didn't know anybody.
Yep.
And the problem, there is people aren't in places long term either. They live
year.
there for a year, maybe two. but then they find a different apartment with a different friend, or they broke up with their significant other, and they're like have to find new places, and they're like constantly moving, and that's like every apartment, you know.
Right.
So it's like
So then when
consistency is not there.
when
Yeah.
it hits the fan,
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Who do you trust?
you go
right?
downstairs, knock on your neighbor's door, and you're like, "We've never met before," and he goes, "Give
Yeah.
me your stuff."
Yep.
Yeah.
You have no idea. Or he's like, "Take my stuff, please don't hurt me," and you're like, "Wow, I didn't even ask
I
you for
need
your
help.
stuff." What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
I don't want your stuff.
Let's band together.
Right.
But I mean, you know, even like when I was growing up in Chicago, we knew all the neighbors. Everybody knew each other. New York,
Yeah, we lost that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
so you know, I was thinking about it, and I was reading something a while ago that actually was not. It wasn't making this point, but I realized it. They were talking about the water cooler, the town hall, churches, and it was talking about social media censorship and the threat we face because of it. And one of them was that because people used to meet for church, and it was like a very, very prominent thing in this country, you know, decades and decades ago,
Yeah.
that conversations about politics were being had as people were gathering and then leaving. They would also do events like when I was growing up, the church we had on, I think it was on Sundays. I don't know how often they would do this, but I think Sunday Mass was followed by like a potluck. What is it called when like everyone brings something?
potluck.
Everyone brings
Yeah.
food. And so me and my friends wouldn't, you know, we were just little kids. So we'd be like, dude, it's so awesome. You go there and you just like stand there for an hour and then it's all the free food. We didn't know anything about the religious stuff.
Okay,
But
you're
people would be hanging out.
Yeah.
And then people would talk and they loved that there were kids there, like eating and like of our own volition.
Yeah.
All that's being lost in big cities. So
True.
yeah, man. Let's grab this. There you go. If the apocalypse happens, there's a lot of reasons to speculate as to why your average liberal is doomed. Liberals, pay attention. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify. And we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.